Yeah, but is there an ultimate competition you would call out, like, any race, like the Trans-America or whatever?
I
What is
mean,
the
I'm
biggest
not.
one for you?
Yeah, I'm not so much like. I guess for me, not so much into the like the bike packing side of it.
Yeah,
I've done it a few times, and I've enjoyed it, but in a holiday aspect, I think. So for me, it'll be more like ultra events where it's just me and my bike, which is what is most important to me. And I'm not so fussed about kind of, carrying all my stuff with me. So I've got an event next year, which is London, Edinburgh, London. So from here back up to London and then back again in just less than 5 days is the equivalent in hours. I think it's like 120 hours or something like that. So
wow,
that's 1,000 miles in like 4 and a bit days. So that I'm kind of working towards that at the moment. And in road terms, that's a long bloody way
yeah,
of continuously riding that far. And I think, to be realistic, when you do have a full-time job, things that are like, the transcontinentals and things where you have to go for like 2 or 3 weeks,
right.
like give up that other side of your life as well. Like I sadly not at the point where I can take that much time unpaid. Yeah, I just have to fund my cycling habit. So I think for me, it's going to probably be those events that I can do within a week.
Yeah,
And I would make them more as a race against the clock, rather than kind of completing it by carrying all of my stuff with me.
yeah.
I think that's a different type of racing,
Hmm.
um, to kind of what I want it to be and go, rather than having to kind of add in the, I guess, like the kind of camping, like the survival aspect. I
Yeah,
guess for me is that's a different aspect of cycling,
yeah,
and that's less of what I would classify as a race. Um, like a race is for me my fitness level to push myself, and you
yeah,
kind of don't have to think about the survival bit. You just got to survive the kind of fitness element of it. So for me, it's slightly like different in terms of what I want um, out of it. So the 1,000 miles, it's 1,600 kilometers. That'll be my
that's
longest
crazy.
ever uh, so far. It
Wow,
was supposed
wow.
to be this
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
So that's what I was training for. And then it got moved to next year. So now I'm still trying to train, not as concrete on it yet,
yeah.
um, but we'll be getting that way because it's in less than a year now. So
Okay.
um, kind of, it's going to be hard to just, you know, train your body to do 300, 400 kilometers and then get up 5 hours later and do it again and then do it again. Like
No,
I think that's the bit that I'm gonna have to kind of try and get through. I think there's not really a lot you can do to train for that, to be honest.
that's the thing. I guess you evolve during the race. You can train for a 4-day program. You just evolve, and you just find a way to get through it and to make it. And I guess with a never give up mindset, you have a really good chance to stay the 4 or 5 days.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't think that you can train for that. I guess you can train for one day, and the other days are, getting
yeah,
through it. Yeah,
yeah. No, I can
that's
do the
funny.
one
Yeah,
day because I've done it, but
yeah.
the continuous days, no, like
Do you know that
that's
guy, Iron Cowboy, James
Yeah,
Lawrence.
yeah.
You know, my goal for next year is to do an Ironman. You know, I hate cycling and I hate
Yeah,
swimming, so I don't know how to do it. But the thing is, I thought, all right, if we can do an Ironman, which pushes me out of my comfort zone, just
yeah,
go cycling and go swimming more. And I thought, all right, that guy made 100 in consecutive days, 100 Ironmans consecutive in 100 days, which is
absolutely unbelievable.
wow.
Uh,
And that's what I thought. That's when I think a 4 or 5 day competition for him is he can't
Probably easy.
yeah, maybe it's easy, but that's what he says. All right, I can't train for a 100 day competition. I need to evolve every day, and sometimes I need to go a little bit slower. Sometimes I have
Yeah,
a lot more power, but not every
yeah.
day is the same. So
No,
yeah,
no. And
but
I
that's a good competition. Yeah,
yeah, I enjoyed I enjoy watching stuff like that and listening to people talk about stuff like that, because then it shows that it can be done, because we're
yeah,
all on the same
that's the point.
skeleton. So you can do it. So
Yeah,
it kind of whenever anyone's like, oh, you can't do that, like, well,
yeah,
you can.
100%.
Like,
Yeah, yeah,
got to
100%.
try. And unless you fall apart,
Yeah,
then you just keep going. So
right. Yeah,
that's
and
just
as every training session, every race is ending. You know,
mm,
if you need a 2 or 3 or 5 hours longer, yeah, don't care. But it's ending. That's for
yeah,
sure. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
you can
finish
you can do
line.
it. Yeah, I have um a question, because you got into it later before. Um, how's your nutrition? If you when you're training 5, 6, 7 days a week, how is the nutrition? Is it do you have a special diet, or do you enjoy food like meat
Yeah,
and vegetables and this and that?
yeah. Yeah, no special dietary. I eat everything. I love food. I could definitely eat more food than I than keeping my being an endurance athlete. I try my best to kind of have a pretty balanced and healthy diet.
Yeah.
I'd say I probably follow like the kind of 80-20
Hmm.
rule. And if I'm on holiday, I try not to be too strict about it,
Hmm.
to just kind of enjoy myself. I think with hormones, like sometimes you do need to eat some more, and often it's like sugary food
Hmm.
because you're just tired. But I try and limit it. Like nutrition is probably one of the things that I find the hardest,
Hmm.
from a training perspective. Um, it's getting used to being, you're hungry a lot of the time
Yeah.
because you're always training. And then being hungry all the time, like you just kind of, you eat convenience foods, or you just eat whatever is there. It's quite hard to, I guess, have a structure without, because you don't have, I don't have a nutritionist.
Yeah.
I don't have it all laid out for me. So I kind of have to, I've tried, I guess, tried and failed many different things over the past 4 years, and kind of have settled on specific breakfasts, like either pre-bike ones or post-bike ones. I eat
Hmm.
different things, depending on what I've done. And then I try and just eat, a good amount of protein and a good amount of vegetable and a good amount of carbs. And then I just kind of repeat that. And then on the weekends, I will, take Saturday night or whatever. I'll just enjoy whatever I want to enjoy. Last Saturday, I went out for Chinese. it's not great. It's not going to be very good for fueling, but you know, it gives you loads of energy the next day.
Yeah,
Because
that's right.
loads of
Yeah.
loads of food. So it's absolutely fine. But like I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, which is a
So
pretty good thing. Yeah.
yeah, which is a pretty good thing. I quit. I went teetotal when I started cycling, as a way to encourage myself to get up on the weekends, because I was like, man, it's so hard to exercise if you're like hungover all the time. So I just stopped. I was like, I'm just not, I don't want to, you know, I get really bad hangovers. So I was like, I'm just not going to drink. And I ended up being teetotal for 2 years. And then I started to kind of reintroduce alcohol. But to be honest, don't I just don't like the effect it has on my ability to train. So I just don't drink. And I'm
But it's
absolutely fine with it.
it's just the case that cycling is much more important for you than
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
out and
feeling good.
getting,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm feeling good. So like I guess my alcohol that isn't my alcohol, my kind of Achilles heel is sugar and like chocolate.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like,
I
I can't
gotcha.
have both.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have one, and chocolate's always gonna win.
Yeah.
So chocolates and cakes and things are what I go to, and that's my kind of, I don't need the alcohol, so it's not a necessity. Whereas like I would classify my chocolate as a need. So I'm like, I have to have that in there, and then I still enjoy everything, like
Yeah.
as long as I've got that. And sometimes I want it more than others. It depends what I'm kind of training and what I'm doing. But overall, try and kind of maintain like pretty much the same diet, like 6 out of the 7 days of the week, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm all right, because I'm rubbish at cooking.
Mhm.
And I eat the same thing a lot of the time because that's what I know I'm good at eating and doing. So I don't mind it, like it's fine. And I know that it's serving a purpose, but I also still I do enjoy food. So I won't always, I might add something extra if I'm more hungry or if I want to treat myself, but
Yeah.
pretty much stick to the same amount of food, like every single day of the same contents, to be honest.
Wow.
Pretty boring.
It
But
is,
they're all
yeah.
yeah, it's all things that I like. So it doesn't, porridge, like oats with protein powder and peanut butter and blueberries.
All right.
Like I eat that every single day after I train. And I'm fine with it. And every day I have like a salad with a sandwich. And then for dinner, I'll have like some vegetables and some meat and some potatoes or something. Like it's all pretty basic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing
um,
is, I guess when you're into training, yeah, I guess you're not able to get around and put everything with what is nice or what is
yeah,
tastes pretty good, because all
yeah,
the things I always say, all right, if somebody's inventing some vegetables who are tasting like potato chips or something, yeah,
yeah, that'd be
he's a
good.
billionaire already.
Yeah,
I would go for it.
yeah,
But the thing
yeah,
is, yeah, if you wanna do things like a 4-day race, you have
yeah,
to look about your nutrition and the
yeah,
stuff you put
yeah. It's
into your
definitely
system.
one thing that I could be better at for sure.
Yeah,
I think I do not eat, like I don't eat fast food. Like I try and limit that kind of, I guess, processed food out of my
yeah,
diet, because that just isn't good for you in general. And like if I'm going out for a meal, like I'll go to nice restaurants. I won't go to
yeah,
like those, So I'm conscious to that side
yeah,
of it. I'm like, that's not good for your overall being, whether you're an athlete or not.
absolutely, yeah,
But I think, it's hard enough as it is to try and think about work and then think about training and then be super strict with your
yeah,
nutrition. I think there's always going to be one that suffers, and you don't want training to suffer and you don't want work to suffer. So it's like, just give yourself a little bit of leeway on the nutrition and don't overcomplicate it, because then you're giving yourself too much and it's going to take away from the other two things that are important. So I try not to stress about it, too much. Obviously, weight in cycling is quite a big thing. So you just don't want to, gain too much weight, but then also because so muscly, like got to eat a certain amount of protein. So like those things I think about, but I try not to get too bogged down in it. Otherwise, I think then you are kind of taking you got to live. Like, your body will, you will be able to train and compete eating the diet that I do. I might get a small gain if I went like completely nuts, but it's probably not worth the loss to me, of like, if it's someone's birthday and you're gonna have
having
a slice
fun.
of cake.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
not deny stuff of that. I think it comes.
There is a nice cake or something else that you like. You can't beat yourself up 7 days a week.
No, you can't deny everything. It's the same as like sometimes when I'm really struggling with training, like if just so that I will encourage myself to ride, I will like change up my training session to make it more, like digestible for me to complete it. And it's the same with your diet, I think. Like sometimes you've just got to do something. So, give it all you can, instead of giving it nothing. Like that's kind of what I kind of, some days I'm like, I'm going to give more to my nutrition than other days. And I make sure that, because I I could eat so much more if I was able to, but I don't think I'm cycling is not a very forgiving sport when it comes to what we have to wear. So
I think so.
You've got to fit in very tight clothing. You have to watch it to an extent. Not the most flattering of kits. I don't think that, running is probably, you can kind of get away with hiding a little bit more. But
you don't need the very
cycling, there's nowhere to hide. And
it's an aerodynamic thing, right?
So I wear extremely tight, like close fitting lycra, because I cannot stand like kind of blowing around. And so it's, quite often it takes like a good 10 to 15 minutes to get in the shorts, because you're like, these are extremely tight. Small. And everything, it does what it says on the tin, like it makes you, sucks you all in, so that when you're, you just cut through the wind. So like it makes a lot of sense, but it's not very forgiving.
I think so. So the birthday cake you see tomorrow morning.
You're like, So in the winter, I mean, in the winter, we all gain a little bit of weight because we cycling less, and there's a lot less kind of just low intensity stuff. You're kind of putting a bit more high intensity stuff, which makes you more muscular, and you just tend to get a bit heavier. And then it kind of gets round to like March, April time, and I get lighter again until about October, November, and then I get heavier. So it just, I mean, it doesn't change a great deal. It's like a few kilos. But that kind of is just the nature of what training I'm doing. And what we're eating. We eat more over the winter anyway. Like, is what it is.
That's a I guess it's a human thing. In the wintertime you have to load up a bit to get a little bit more fat or something to stay in the winter.
Stay warm.
So when you get into summer, it's easier to lose weight, and I guess it's a human cycle.
Exactly. I mean, it's I suffer a lot with the cold, and like I think being any lower in body fat probably wouldn't help with like how much I suffer in the cold anyway. So I'm like, it's you want to look good, but you don't want it to be to the extreme. You just don't need to
And
not
that's the
in.
point. You're not a professional. If you get a
No,
high
exactly.
paycheck for it, yeah, you can
Yeah,
do,
no,
whatever it takes. But yeah, you're a human
yeah.
being.
As
Yeah.
long as I feel good, then I'm usually pretty happy with whatever
Yeah.
I'm doing. Yeah.
Two last questions. I know that we're running out of time. How was the your social life? Yeah, changing to
Mm.
when you get into cycling and you felt, all right, I love this thing and I like it and I want to spend more time in it. And how is your social life changing, like, when other people or your friends or former friends were getting out, getting hammered, and and during that time
Yeah,
you were sitting
yeah,
on the bike, or you knew, all right, I need to sit on the bike tomorrow morning. Was that a big change in your life?
yeah, yeah. It was. I think I kind of went from uh, like early 20s partying and drinking a lot and kind of just socializing was all I kind of really had to think about on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then kind of got into cycling and I was like, well, it's going to be hard to do them both all of the time. So for me, because I hadn't gone down the kind of fitness and training route, I was like, well, that's the one I want to try. Like, I've done the pieing one. So that's when I decided to stop drinking,
Yeah.
and kind of stop going out as much. So I did go to like social events, but I didn't drink at them, which, a lot of people give you stick for, especially when you're like 25, 26. They're like, you don't drink already? Like,
Yeah.
why? But I was like, it's a personal choice. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really care. Like, what, I don't need alcohol to have a good time. Like, I'm here, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I was okay with understanding it, but probably a lot of friends weren't. They didn't really get it.
Yeah.
And unless they were some other kind of sports, sports enthusiast of some sort, then they would kind of get it a little bit.
Hmm.
But I think I probably changed around that time, friendship groups and kind of the social aspects of kind of how I was socializing, I guess. My socializing had like kind of went from going out to bars and partying and dancing and whatever to socializing like 9 o'clock in the morning with a bunch of cyclists, cycling in the
It's a
countryside. My
social life too, right?
socializing, yeah, it changed.
Yeah.
And it changed for me in the better. I enjoyed it more.
Hmm.
I was doing my socializing in the daytime and I was combining what I loved with other people who also love it. So you've just got a natural bond and a connection like already,
Yeah.
which made like making friends and having conversations so much easier.
Yeah.
And then around kind of doing that and doing it so much, especially, London has got a lot of cyclists for such a such an urban city. There's a lot of us.
Yeah.
And there's a whole network of people here and everyone kind of, knows each other in a roundabout way. And we do, we go out in the morning and we train and then we go and have a coffee with each other after our training and then we come home. It's like we do our socializing at 6 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
but it's still our socializing. And like I prefer that. Like I've kind of had to switch my life up. My social hours are like 6 to 8 in the morning
Yeah.
and then on the weekends, and then I go to bed when everyone else socializes at night. So I've changed my whole structure.
Yeah.
I think when I first took up cycling, I had a boyfriend at the time who ultimately couldn't deal with it. Didn't like the fact that I had a hobby and an interest that I spent so much time in.
Can
So we
imagine.
didn't
Yeah.
stay together.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is what I want to do. Like I'm 26 years old and I've decided that this is for me. So
Yeah.
bye. And now, now I'm with someone who I met through, I kind of met through friends of friends who cycle. So we both cycle, but he doesn't compete.
Okay.
And he doesn't take it
And he can't
serious,
compete
like,
with
as
you, right?
seriously. But he comes to like all of my races. He accepts the fact that I need to sit in there for like hours and hours at a time training. Like he's absolutely fine with it. And
That's very
he
important, I guess,
really,
right?
yeah, he enjoys it. Like he's my kind of, I guess, my number one fan now.
Wow.
In terms of coming and doing, you know, he drives me to my races and he'll watch all of them. And
That's
you
so
know, he
cool,
really
man.
enjoys that side of it because he understands, I guess, the pain that I'm going through,
Yeah.
and like the effort that I'm putting in, but he just doesn't want to do it. So
Yeah.
he just wants to watch me, which is fine. So it's, you know, it's great that I've found someone that kind of supports me through it and
Yeah.
kind of, I guess, picks me up off the floor a lot of the time as well when I'm probably too harsh on myself.
Yeah.
He helps kind of bring it back down to reality a little bit. He's more of a grounding nature.
Yeah.
So because we're both like that, we kind of, I guess, adapted our social lifestyle like that. And we're outdoorsy people. So we just like
Yeah.
to go for a ride, like a bike ride, and then probably just go out for a walk somewhere, like just explore. Like we're
That's
quite
really
laid
cool. Yeah.
back social lives.
Yeah.
So, you know, the ultimate goal will be to move somewhere that's a bit more countryside. So you've got that all like access, and that'll kind of be your social
Yeah.
network. But like I say, you know, I enjoy spending time on my own.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that. So for me, it was a sacrifice, I think, because I was young. But now when I look back, I'm like, it made sense. Like it was the right time
100%.
to take that up and to do that. And now, you know, I'm extremely happy with where I am and the people that I have around me. It got a bit sad, I think, initially, because you're like changing direction.
Yeah.
But then now I'm like, yeah, I've made the right choice. So I'm
The
happy
thing
that I
is,
did it ultimately.
yeah. It would be funny, you know, if you could see both of the people, the Georgia today and the Georgia who would, you know, happened, yeah, 4 years
Yeah.
ago, you know, if you didn't get into cycling and the whole adventure you got in.
Mm.
So how would be the difference between these two people, you know? You would still be out
Yeah.
maybe partying, you know, looking for the satisfaction in life.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to find it through, you know, getting social outside and getting party and getting hammered or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess you can, yeah, you really can find yourself through things like that, you know,
Yeah.
beating yourself up, yeah, getting up again, you know, going through hard times, even
Yeah.
in sports. I guess this is yeah, this makes you better, and I guess
Yeah.
this is the way to find yourself, you know,
Yeah.
through the
Yeah.
sports,
Yeah.
through all the things you're doing. Yeah.
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 So much
Finding
fun.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that change around my mid-20s has made me a more well-rounded person.
Yeah.
And I've found something that like makes me happy and can make me happy for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Whereas I think probably in the earlier 20s, what I was doing was not going to make me happy. It was really going to, you know, make me tired and ill and, you know, get liver problems or whatever. Like it just wasn't satisfied. Whereas now I'm like, yeah, I'm satisfied and so much more. Like I get excited about thinking about the rest of, you know, what I've got to come as I, you know, get older and do whatever I decide to do. Whereas before I definitely don't think I had that.
Yeah.
So, you know, making that big step into kind of changing your life and all basically because of a bicycle
Yeah.
is pretty great. I was
It's
like, I
so
didn't really
easy,
realize it was
ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, I didn't realize that was going to happen, but
Yeah.
I'm so glad it did. Like I wouldn't change it for the world now. So
100%. Yeah. Is it possible for you to get onto a, fucked up usual bike, to have a fun bike run with friends, or with your boyfriend, like, not
Yeah,
getting onto your professional cycling bike, just just a one
I ride.
gear
Oh,
city whatever thing.
yeah, I mean, I ride these bikes kind of in social, I guess, aspects as well. But my friends are cyclists as well, so we all kind of have pretty nice bikes.
Okay.
I did have a single speed bike for about a year. I used to commute to work on it because I wouldn't take my expensive bikes.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, it was good fun to do something different.
Yeah.
For a while, there was just a commuter bike. It weighed an absolute ton, and it only had one gear. And it was good. It wasn't very comfortable, but
Yeah.
I wasn't going very far. It completely changes your like outlook on what you're doing when you're on a different, like when I was on that bike, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to work, like whatever. I don't care about the speed. Like, there's got nothing to do. I'm just wearing my joggers and a hoodie. Whereas when I get on these bikes, like,
Yeah.
my kit's worth hundreds of, probably thousands of pounds. Like, it's a completely different space you go into as a
Yeah.
cyclist. So I enjoyed both, but because now I work from home a lot, I didn't need that bike anymore. So I donated it to a charity that we have in London, which kind of refurbishes them and then gives them to communities for free.
Wow.
Ways to
That's
travel
pretty
around.
cool. Yeah.
They'll use it for what it's used for.
Yeah.
And kind of, mine are my hobby horses. So
Yeah.
I'll keep them like for what they're for. So it got upcycled into a nicer home after COVID.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So do you have tips for people, they got stuck, or they wanted to do sports, but the thing what you are doing sounds crazy, for people who don't make sport or don't have ever been in endurance sports. Yeah, usually they say, all right, she's crazy, and this is not the kind of thing I want to do. What are the tips to, just tips to get started, to start, and it doesn't matter if it's running or is it swimming or cycling or something, just how to get out of it, and how to, just your tips.
I think for me, like, giving advice will probably be what I kind of did for myself when I first started, and I had kind of no real expectation for what I was doing. It was like, give it a go and see what happens. And if you like it, then it's something you should invest time in. If it is something you don't like, then you probably shouldn't invest time in it, because you're probably never going to like it. Like, you have to know that you want to do something to invest time in it. And then it doesn't seem like that time, it's not hard to give that time. So I think that would, I guess, be the first one, would be kind of to try something and not expect yourself to love it straight away. You're not going to be like, oh wow, like, this is amazing, like, I'm so
much
good
fun
at
to go 400 kilometers.
Like, it's so easy to do all it. Like, it's not going to be easy, and it's probably not going to be fun for a while. But if you're determined to keep going, then it will become easier and it will become more fun. And I think making sure that you give yourself the time to find those things is like super important for any kind of endurance sport. When you think about the amount of time you're going to give to this further down the line, you kind of got to give it a good go when you first start, and just not saying no to things. Like, yeah, I'll go and try that, and just know that you might not find it easy, or you're not going to be the best person there. like not to be afraid to be new at something, just kind of turn up and give it a go. I think people value that so high. Like I've been doing this for 4 years, but I'm in a race team and we do events with people outside of the race team, and they turn up and they've never ridden more than a few miles, or they've never ridden very fast, or they've never raced, and I'm always like more in awe of them, because I'm like, it must be so much harder to turn up to something knowing you're not as good as the people that are here that are doing this. And people will think that. Like, I think it doesn't matter what sport it is, like people are always in admiration of people that are new to it, and they're going to keep going, and they're going to keep trying, especially people like me and you. We know how hard it can be, like, to just keep going. And I always remember when I first started, and how hard it was, just keep crashing and falling off, and like just being in pain all the time. Like it wasn't fun. So now
No.
whenever I see anyone starting
but you
out,
enjoy
like,
it more today,
don't.
right?
Yeah, like, please
To be in
don't give
pain.
up. Like, you will love this. Like, you will find enjoyment from this. If you can see it deep down that you're going to find enjoyment from this, like, even if there's a tiny little minute out of your 2 hours that you've just done that for, that you got enjoyment, like, it will get more and more. And you just got to give it a chance. And if it means going and spending time alone doing whatever sport that is, to kind of I guess prove it to yourself that you can do it, but also take that pressure away of other people watching you. And then when you feel a bit more ready, then kind of going into more social, I guess, aspects of the sport is basically the way that I did it. And that definitely helps to go in with a reasonable level of confidence. But yeah, just, I guess, number one tip, so don't give up. Like, it's not gonna be easy instantly. I mean, it's never gonna be easy, because you just make it harder.
Like, that's the bad thing on it. As soon as you're in it, you want more, and you beat yourself up more and more.
It's never going to be easy, and you're never going to enjoy it all of the time. But just don't give up. Like, you can do something. Just keep trying. Like, no one ever succeeded on their first try of anything.
That's huge. That's the point. You got to love it through the time, through the process, through whatever you're doing. That's huge. So, last thing, I don't know if you're reading a lot, or if you have time to read a lot, besides your 8-time day job and 8-hour day job and 8-hour training job. Do you have a favorite book, which you recommend, like, this is the thing to read?
I don't read a lot about sports, but I listen and watch a lot about sports, because I do it whilst I'm cycling. So that's often why I say, like, I always try and read books, but I'm like, if I can't read it whilst I'm on the bike, like, it's going to be quite hard. So I listen to a lot of like podcasts whilst I'm cycling outside, or if I'm indoors, I'll listen to them, or I'll watch them on my phone or on my laptop or something. So I follow like quite a few like ultra cyclists who do a lot of videos. There's a guy called Jack, the ultra cyclist, I think his name is, on Instagram. He does a lot of crazy things, and they document it all on video. He's sponsored by Wahoo, which is like it's German GPS company, I guess you would call it. They make watches and stuff like that. So I watch a lot of his stuff, and a lot of Education First, the cycling sponsored team. They do a lot of it really interesting I guess like inspirational videos. So not really like stuff that's gonna kind of, here's how you should train, step one. Like I can't get into, can't get into that, but like the
Yeah,
inspiration stuff. So, the stupid events, the nuts events that they go off and they do, and I just watch it, and that gives me the inspiration and the
inspiration.
desire to want to train. So I very often, when I'm feeling a bit crap about cycling, or about how much training I'm going to have to do alone in the dark in the winter, like I'll go and watch a documentary about someone who's done something epic, and then I feel
Mhm.
like, oh, like they had to do this. Like I'm inspired to carry on and do that. So I watch a lot. I'm subscribed to GCN, Global Cycling Network, and they've got
Mhm.
loads of
Crazy
documentaries on
things.
there, yeah, about sports. Netflix obviously do a lot, like the Iron Cowboy.
Yeah,
Um, they do quite a lot. So I'm probably more like down that, and I find those through like social media and through friends, and
yeah.
people like, oh, what's this? Um, or like blogs and things that I read online, and they're like, oh, you should watch XYZ. Like that's pretty much how I absorb like anything about the sport.
Yeah.
And yeah, really struggle to read it because it's not easy to read when when you're
When
riding a
you're always
bike.
on the bike, no.
Listen
As
to
soon we
it.
have the
Yeah,
Google glasses or something,
yeah,
maybe then it's
yeah. So
possible.
we'll get
Yeah.
that.
But
Yeah,
until that,
yeah,
like a
yeah. So
head-up display.
watching and listening
Yeah.
to those kind of stories of things that people have done is the best thing I can kind of recommend to give you that go. Like whether
Yeah.
you've been doing endurance sport for ages, or whether you're trying to get into it, I think they're beneficial for both cases, because
Yeah.
you just kind of, you can see what other people can achieve, and it inspires you to then go and achieve something that is big for you.
Yeah.
And whether it's on the same size or scale or not, like if it's something you've never done before, then it's an achievement.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And beside the inspiration of videos like that, it's you can learn so much from people like that, because a
Mhm.
lot of them, even the Iron Cowboy, they get, you know, they got into rock bottom. They're fucked up
Yeah.
their whole life sometimes, and yeah, they get up through sports, through things they learned, and yeah, that's you can learn so many things from people like
Yeah.
them. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah,
It teaches you a lot more, I think, than reading about the science. But I still
100%.
read about that. It's a lot more boring. It's a lot less inspirational, but it's the kind of bit
Right.
you need to know on the side.
Yeah.
Whereas the inspirational stuff is the stuff that will keep you doing what you do,
Right.
rather than
Right.
the fact.
So Georgia, we stretched the time a little bit. Thanks a lot for that. It was so much fun. I hope we can do it again, because I think we can. Yeah, we can
Oh
do
yeah,
it
keep
the
talking
whole
about
day and whole night to talk about all the accomplishments and all the things you learned and you do. And for me, it's so inspirational to see you, to see the things you're doing.
it.
I follow you on, I don't know how you call it in Great Britain. It's Strava, the app.
Oh, Strava, yes, yeah,
Strava,
yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah.
So I'm one of your followers, and when I'm doing a half marathon on the weekend, I think, all right, now, yeah, I'm really good this weekend, and yeah, on Sunday evening, I see, all right, she's doing that, yeah, the whole weekend.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all indoors this weekend, but yeah, it's
You know,
hopefully
the thing
Mallorca,
is,
where you'll see some nice rides from there rather than just my indoor trainers, but
yeah,
boring.
but it's so inspiring, because, I always think yeah, you find a lot of people who say, all right, oh, doing a half marathon, this is the ultimate goal of my life, which is, maybe, yeah, for a
Mhm.
couple of people, it's the ultimate goal, which is
Yeah.
okay. What is okay? But for me, it's inspiring to see, all right, I think I I did a lot this weekend, and they're normal people, like, not professional people, just, they worked the whole week, they did all the things, and during the weekend they do what they love, and they do it in a high intensity. For me, it's so inspiring, because I think, all right, you can do more, you have to do more. And beside having kids and all the stuff, you can do so much more. And so thanks for the daily inspiration when I see the things on Strava. I always think, all right, fuck yeah, if you want to be on that level, you have to go out and push yourself wherever. So it's so much fun. Georgia, thanks a lot. I hope we can do it again. And have a great week, and a lot of fun training. Whatever.
Yeah, looking forward to New York.
I hope. And the other thing is, after the pandemic thing, we will do it in a personal way in London or wherever.
Yes. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. You'll be cycling by then for your Ironman as well, so you can go on your bike.
That's I come with a bike. I don't have a bike even, I think about
when you get
doing that.
Bike.
I need to, I guess I buy a 12-pound or 12-kilo shitty thing like you had in the first time.
We'll rent you a nice bike from somewhere in London, and then you can go on bike. Right, there you go. Job done.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Excellent.
All right, Georgia, thank you so much. And
thanks, Patrick.
Talk to
nice
you.
To see you.
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.